Moving on to the vacuum hoses, I usually get a long pair of needle nose, but sometimes I like to break it loose as far as the seal, because they will get sticky at times, and I just kind of grab it and rock it. That's one of them. There's that one. Let's see if I can reach this other one back here. And there we go. And then I usually like to try to pry. I'll try to get under the front edge and pry up against something and pop it off, like the brake booster hose there. So we'll try to do the same thing for that. And then we got one more. Now this last one, if it's a little hard, sometimes you can just wait till you start getting the intake pulled forward. So the tube in the back of the EGR is going to stay there. We're just going to work it out. Now we'll just move on to get. Right now we've gotten into the vehicle. This is actually the bottom of the transmission. Here's the transmission pan, and we're on the passenger side of the transmission, up here where the electrical connector is. And this is actually, follow my finger, the dipstick tube. I'm going to go ahead and take that 8mm bolt. Now the bracket's slotted to where you could just back off on the bolt and be fine. Just go ahead and take it out so I got a little more movement. That's the only thing holding that bracket up in here. There's no more bolts. Now I just start wiggling it so it starts coming up, and then I can actually pull the whole tube out from under the vehicle. You have no worries about transmission fluid coming out, because there's nothing going to be up to that height. If it is, it's overfilled. So now we get back up top. We'll get ready to pull this intake off. All right. We're back up top now, back under the hood. Shouldn't be anything left except for that EGR tube in the back. So what I'm gonna do now, the bracket's out of the way, the bolts are up, I should be able to start sliding it forward. Here we go, nothing to it, out of the way. As you can see, you got your 3 vacuum hoses back here, one for the brake booster, one here is for the evap system, which is fuel vapor, and then you got one that goes to the PCV valve. And here's actually your EGR tube. As you can see, the end of it's got a little crust built up, so what I'm going to try to do is clean out as much as I can while I've got it apart, and just help the customer out in case they have any more problems later on. Could end up setting an EGR code. For now, that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to take the seal off because we're going to be replacing the seal. Now that seal is very important. A lot of times people take these intakes off and they'll be doing a tune-up and they won't even install the seal correctly, get it torn, and the next thing you know, you got high idle, low vacuum, and you have some drivability issues. At this point, we've got the intake off. So what I like to do while it's off and I'm doing any kind of other work, I like to make sure nothing gets down into these open intake ports so that I don't have any mysterious problems after I crank it back up once I install it. I'm using just a cloth fender cover here. You could just stuff down some rags, anything, kind of clean, cover up the area so nothing gets down in there. So now we'll move on to the spark plugs. Now this vehicle has individual coil packs, so there's no plug wires. It's just a single lock connector. You're just going to squeeze and pull it off, and then we'll work on getting these are held down with 10mm bolts. Go ahead and get those off. Okay. It's a matter of pulling them straight up. Some of them you may have to wiggle to get them broke loose. And then we're going to be using a 5/8 spark plug socket and about a 6-inch extension will work fine. Now mine doesn't have the rubber boot inside these spark plug sockets, so I have to physically get the plug out. Now yours probably will. Mine has just been used 10,000 different times, so of course things get worn out. And I see no reason to replace it because of that. So now we got the spark plug out. Now installation is just the opposite of removal. Just put your plugs in there, snug them up, collapse a little collapsible washer that's on here. Coil packs back in place, and then you work back on getting that intake back in. Intake, as you've seen, the steps are pretty cut and dry, nothing elaborate. Just make sure nothing gets down in these ports. Otherwise, it's pretty simple. Alright, so there you have it. You've done your spark plugs, put the intake back on. Everything should be cut and dry as long as you followed all the rules. You didn't miss any steps, and you mainly watched out for that EGR tube seal. So with that, I appreciate you watching these videos. Always stay tuned for more. And the best way to do it is subscribe. I always greatly appreciate if you subscribe. That way you'll get notified of any videos that come up. And also, any kind of thumbs up, thumbs down, any comments, questions, feel free to ask. Once again, thanks a lot.